Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, Bianca's World. And last week I made a video talking about police brutality and everything like that. I read a bill out loud, and even though it didn't really gain much attraction and everything like that, I'm going to make a video about a similar topic, but I'm not reading a bill or anything like that. I'm just going to read numbers, and because tonight I was kind of bored, and I decided to look up certain statistics and everything like that, because I was really thinking about I wonder how much the media is overhyping the police killings and everything like that, because that's what media tends to do a lot of times. They tend to over exaggerate. For example, it's like the media is like that car owner who sees a tiny little dent in his car, and he has to use a magnifying glass to see that dent. That's how small that dent is, but he takes his phone and zooms it, and then posts it on social media. It makes it seem as though it's the biggest dent in the world, when in reality it's a tiny little dent, right? So I decided to go ahead and look up some numbers and everything like that. It took up quite a bit of time actually, and I was really surprised how small these numbers were. I had to use numbers that were considered scientific notion numbers. Essentially, the numbers were so small when you put in a calculator for decimal, in what they ended up doing instead is they actually had they'll have on one of the numbers I have on here is 6.76 and some other numbers, and at the end of the numbers it would have an E minus 7, which just basically means they moved 7 decimal places to the right in order to make that 7 point or 6.76. So if I were to move that decimal point to the left, you would have all these zeros in front of the 6. That's how small some of these numbers were, and I was just really blown away. And I want to share some of those numbers with you. So what I did is I decided to break down the amount of killings per group, and then what I would do is I would divide it by 3, because I did it from 2017 to last year, so that's 3 years. So I would divide the numbers by 3 after I added all 3 years for that particular race up, and I would get my average for the 3 years. And then after I got all the groups and everything, which I have here: white, black, Hispanic, other / unknown, I would add all of them up, and then from there I would get my number, which I will explain in a little bit. So we're just going to get started on this video, just because why not, and boredom. So like I said, I have broken down here at least this half of this front page. I have it broken down by 4 groups. I have black, white, Hispanic, and then other / unknowns, kind of a category of its own. So the year 2017 for white people, 457 people were killed by the hands of the police. The next year went down, and so did the year after that. 399 for 2018, and 2019 was 370. When you added all that up and you divided it by 3, that averaged out to be 409 people in the white community affected by police killings a year. And then for the black community, it averaged out to be 222 a year. And I noticed they had a weird there's really no pattern, but it's pretty high up there as far as they had a decline from 2017 and 2018 from 223 to 209, and then it spiked in 2019. That's pretty interesting. Same thing happened to the Hispanic population, where between 2017 and 2018 it went down, but then you saw a spike in 2019. So the Hispanic community, which is what I'm associated with, and the white community, and the other unknown actually, because I'm kind of mixed. But anyways, that's beside the point. So Hispanic community is 179 for 2017, 2018. It's 148, 158 for last year. When you averaged that out, that turned out to be 161 a year. And then the other, the races that were considered other by the U.S. Census Bureau, that's where I got these numbers, by the way, came from the U.S. Census Bureau. You would get 44 for 2017, 2018, 36, 2019, 39, which averaged out to be 40 a year. And then for the other races like that were categorized as unknown, that averaged out to be 182 a year. And they have been going down as well. They were like the only other group that just has been declining since. So what I did is I added all them up, and I got a number of 1,014 a year, essentially, that people, the U.S. population, the amount of people, roughly estimation, I have like the little squiggly equal sign to indicate it's an estimate, not an exact number, but my estimate here is like 1,014 a year die a year in the hand of the police, which, if the media told you that, they would probably make it seem as though like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But to give you perspective how small that is when you divide it by our entire U.S. population, that comes out to be 0.0030309,146%. That's how small that number is when you take the U.S. population and divide that number with the amount, the total amount that happened every year and everything. And I got a little extra as well. I decided to like go ahead and use the U.S. population and use the average for each of the groups, and their each of the groups of numbers and everything like that. And some of them were so small. As a matter of fact, like besides white, like every other group, like I had to like use a scientific notation converter where essentially I had it basically, because whenever time I type it on Google on my laptop, I would get this number where, like I said earlier, it was so small. It would say like 6.76829268E-7, and that's just for the black community, right? But when you turn it into like the decimal form and everything like that, and the actual number, it's like there's like 6 zeros in front of that 6, and so and that's the same thing for like the other groups as well, like the Hispanic population, same thing. It's a 4.908536559E-7, and then the other group, same thing. That's really not as significant, but I thought that was just interesting. Like if you divide like the year, the U.S. population per like the amount died per group, like white was 409 a year, black was 222 a year, and if you divide that by the U.S. population, it's like super insignificant. I don't want to say it's insignificant because obviously these people have names and everything like that. I don't want to come across as callous and insensitive or anything like that. It's just to kind of give you someone perspective as far as like how big of an issue this really is. So it is true when you hear someone say like more white people die in the hands of the police than any other group. But then you hear like other people that say, well, not in comparison to the black population and everything like that. And I decided to look it up myself. I have, some more numbers here. And the numbers do back that fact up as well. But again, it's like that dent in the car. It's not as bad as the media makes it out to be. So the U.S. population, right, when you break it down, like I said, in the back, I just kept it between white, black, and Hispanic because there's just so many people. When it comes to like other unknown, like they wouldn't specify like what the unknown or other were, so I didn't really focus too much on that. I just focused on it black, Hispanic, and white. And when you look at the U.S. population comparison and everything like that, so the white population makes up 76% of the 328 million, right? Then you have the black population that makes up 13.4%. In decimal form, that would be 134 or 134 thousandths, and then the Hispanic population is 18.5% or 0.185 or 0.85 thousandths. So I multiplied those numbers by the U.S. population. When you got the total numbers, again, these are just roughly estimates, they're not like exact numbers. For the white population, it came out to be 249,280,000. For the black population, it came out to be 43,952,000. And then for the Hispanic, because they're the second highest minority group in America right now, it came out to be 60,680,000. And then when I did with those numbers, I used like the year per year for each group. So white was 409 people, the black was 222, and the Hispanic was 161 a year. And I would divide that for their population specifically, right? So when it came to the white population, it came out to be 0.0030164,072%. For the black population, like I said, it was the highest, but it's not as bad as the media makes it out to be. It's 0.0005096%. And then for the Hispanic population, it's 0.000265326%. That's how small it is. And if you want to see the fraction version of it, I'll show you the fraction version. If you like fractions, I don't know what you prefer, but this is the fraction. So I'll go and write this down real quick so you know like what numbers these fractions represent. I have it written right underneath it, but boredom, I was like, I wonder what this looks like fraction form, and in case people like yourself, the viewer may want to see a fraction form. Here it is for you. So that's how it would look like in fraction form. I know it is backwards in camera form. I don't know how to fix that. And if I did this, I don't know. Point is, you see the fractions, all right? How are we written down in fraction? So yeah, when it comes to like facts and everything like that, or what the media tells you, whether it's through Facebook or Instagram or whatever you get your news and everything like that, like do your own research. Make sure that you don't just buy into what they're telling you all the time. Like do your own research and take the time to educate yourself on the numbers. It was a lot of math. I will admit that. I was mentally exhausted afterwards when I did all that, but at the same time, I enjoyed looking up the numbers and just kind of give me something to do. And so, moral to the story is don't buy in what the media tells you. They'll take any story and blow it up and make it seem like people are dying on the streets every single day in the hands of the police at like a mass rate, but it's just not true. Like I said, though, it's not to say that we don't have an issue or there's cracks in the system. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the cracks may not be as big and hard to overcome. I'm trying to give people, the viewers here, a sense of hope that it's not as a big of a hill to climb, if you will. These numbers should tell you, like, all right, we have an issue, we have a hill to climb, but it's not as big as I thought it was. The media, makes it seem like we have to climb through Mount Everest to get this issue resolved, but, it may be a little bit smaller than Mount Everest, to say the least. So, with that said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful night. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And until then, have a good night. Till next time.